UK Prime Minister Theresa May is in Kenya on a state visit. She is the first UK Premier to visit the East African nation in 30 years. President Uhuru Kenyatta has welcomed her to State House in Nairobi. The two leaders are discussing bilateral ties, trade, investment and security. Later on Thursday, May and Kenyatta are expected to visit the Jomo Kenyatta Mausoleum before attending the opening of a cybercrime unit funded by the UK. Kenya is May's third stop on her Africa tour. As the UK moves towards Brexit, she is seeking to strengthen trade partnerships with African nations. Right, so let's take you live to State House here in Nairobi and take a listen to what President Kenyatta is currently saying.
Prime Minister, the bond of friendship and cooperation between our two countries has been deepened today with the signing of a number of agreements. One is a security compact that has led to increased support from Britain with equipment to enhance border and aviation security, capacity building and information sharing between our two countries. The second is the framework on the return of assets from proceeds of corruption and crimes in Kenya. Some of you here may already be aware that we signed a similar agreement with Switzerland, and we are now glad that the UK is also fully on board. This is because fighting corruption is an important aspect of my own legacy program, together with the unity of the country and the attainment of our Big Four centered around investment in housing, manufacturing, security, food security, and universal health. Depriving people, therefore, of the proceeds of their crimes is one major detriment against this vice, and we are determined to make it painfully unrewarding and expensive to get involved in corruption in Kenya. As I have said, this fora and others, there is no turning back in Kenya on this agenda. We've also had the opportunity to discuss other matters of bilateral interest, including market access to the United Kingdom for Kenya after Brexit, and we welcome the Prime Minister's assurances that the current duty-free quota for Kenyan exports will continue after Brexit. We also discussed around the UK and broader Commonwealth issues, and we indicated that Kenya will be pressing for an increase in exports on the basis of a fair market arrangement with a view of a mutual win-win arrangements within the Commonwealth. We also agreed to continue cooperation in security matters and in the war against terrorism, and as you know, this is an area where both the United Kingdom and ourselves have worked closely on, and as a result, we have seen a diminishing of terrorist threats in our region that still remains vulnerable. We also welcome the United Kingdom's commitment to support AMISOM, and we call on other members of the international community to also support this important mission at the vanguard of security in our region. Ladies and gentlemen, let me also speak on our shared commitment to grow opportunities for our young people from both our countries. And in Kenya, we have committed to increasing opportunities with our vocational training colleges, and we have asked the United Kingdom for support in ensuring that this remains a success. With a huge youthful population, our focus has to be ensuring that our youth remain to be a dividend for our country. Lastly, I take this opportunity to also encourage British investors to look at the opportunities with our Big Four program. They are indeed immense, and considering the returns from markets such as ours, any investment here is guaranteed to benefit both the investors and ourselves. These opportunities are also there within our blue economy, and we have also agreed on how the United Kingdom can support our Blue Economy Conference in November this year. But let me say that these will include issues around landing facilities for deep-sea fishing, shipbuilding facilities, fish processing, packaging facilities in various parts of our country. So once again, Prime Minister, let me thank you for taking time to visit us in Kenya, and we look forward to continuing to strengthen our relationship and partnership between our two countries. Welcome, Prime Minister, and once again, it's happy to have you with us.
Thank you, Mr. President, for hosting me today and for your very warm welcome to Nairobi. And I'm delighted to be paying my first visit to Kenya, indeed the first by a British Prime Minister for 30 years. Like the many thousands of British tourists who come here every year, I'll take away unforgettable memories of this country's vibrancy and its beauty. And Kenya holds a special place in the hearts of the British people, and our countries share, as you have said, a long history that has left us deeply connected to one another. Indeed, of course, it was here that our monarch learned she would become queen. But the relationship we hold is about much more than those deep historical ties. And today we've looked to the future, to a renewed partnership that will unlock the incredible potential of the next generation to benefit both our countries. And we've agreed to build on the strong foundations of our relationship as we step up our cooperation to secure the prosperity and security that our people need and deserve. We discussed today how the UK can work with you as you take forward your Big Four agenda to transform Kenya, aligning our expertise, our investment and our aid behind that vision. The UK is already the largest foreign investor in Kenya, and I've set out this week our ambition to be the G7's #1 investor in Africa by 2022. So as Britain prepares to leave the European Union, we're committed to a smooth transition that ensures continuity in our trading relationship with Kenya, ensuring Kenya retains its duty-free, quota-free access to the UK market, and to building on our strong trade and investment ties to create even more opportunities for our businesses and for our consumers. Mr. President, yours is a country of huge opportunity, in a continent of dynamic young people who have the potential to play a transformative role in driving Africa's growth in the years ahead. Together, we will make sure the next generation of energetic, ambitious Kenyans can get good, well-paid jobs so they can contribute to Kenya's long-term prosperity. That's not just good for Kenya, it's good for the UK too. And we'll work with you and with governments across Africa to make sure your young people have the skills that business on the continent need to drive economic growth. This is a partnership for opportunity, but it's also a partnership for our shared security and stability. And today we discuss the work we're doing together to make both our countries and the world more secure. Already, British terrorists and child abusers are in UK jails because of our cooperation. This afternoon, we have signed a new compact that will see us expand our joint work on security even further. The UK is no longer just training our own military in Kenya, but training with Kenyans to promote stability in East Africa and beyond, and to build the continent's capacity to overcome its own challenges and deliver its own security. And later today, I will see our militaries training together in the techniques to identify and destroy improvised explosive devices. The UK continues to support the commitment of the brave Kenyan soldiers fighting in Somalia against Al-Shabaab, and I will announce a new package of funding to support the African Union mission in Somalia. And Mr. President, I was glad to hear you call for a transition from peacekeepers to stronger Somali security forces. This is what the UK wants too, and as we work towards this, we're leading international efforts to ensure AMISOM has the funding it needs to support its vital battle against terror. We also spoke about the pernicious effects of corruption in Kenya, and I welcome the commitment you've made to drive this vice from your country. We stand with you in this fight. And today, as you say, we signed an agreement to ensure that any proceeds of corruption in Kenya that end up in the UK will be given back to the Kenyan people and spent for their benefit. I also welcome, Mr. President, your commitment to political reconciliation in this country. The UK stands ready to support an inclusive Building Bridges process as you work to further strengthen your democracy and your institutions. Mr. President, as I conclude my visit this week to some of the UK's most important African partners, I've reflected on the role my country can play in partnership with this vibrant continent in the future. As I've said this week, I want to ensure that the UK's relationship with Kenya and with Africa is more and more about private investment, about doing business and making the most of commercial opportunities together. Here, as elsewhere in the continent, we're using our aid and our investment partnerships to lift countries out of poverty, spread stability, and create jobs and prosperity for the future. The UK and Kenya are two strong, diverse countries. We are partners in the Commonwealth and global hubs, open to the world. We thrive because of the entrepreneurship and innovation of our people, the strength of our democracies, and our shared values. Our cooperation today makes our people safer, more prosperous, and more secure, here in Kenya and in the UK. Mr. President, I will leave Nairobi excited by the huge opportunities of Kenya and of this continent, and I look forward to working with you in the years ahead for the benefit of both our countries. Thank you.
All right, so that was British Prime Minister Theresa May. We've also heard from Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta outlining what the two of them have discussed. And of course, those discussions centered around trade and investment, opening up access to markets in the UK, as well as the cooperation of both countries in fighting terrorism and, of course, the issue of security.